I know Jackson's a big fan of the Miami Dolphins, so he is absolutely in love with that pick. Tua is looking phenomenal here. We need to be getting out of
Exactly.
Derrick Henry. Um, Derrick Henry's looking abysmal at this point in time, and not really somebody I would want on my personal roster. That is just me, though. I would find some way to trade out of that. That's yeah. As I consistently just say, I just don't want it. You do have Kyron Williams here sitting on your bench, which is a nice not bench but in your flex spot, so you can replace that in your running back spot. High overall participation rate. Big fan of Kyron Williams, realistically.
How would you recommend getting off of Derrick Henry?
I try to do a combo package if you can't find somebody that's willing to just do a one for one, because I do think that's kind of how you have to go for it. But let's look here and see what else he has.
Would you
Running
wait
backs
for
Zach
this?
Moss.
anonymous.
Would you wait for this Bengals matchup to happen? Like he's coming off of a pretty terrible game relative to the first 2 weeks.
In theory, I don't mind combining him with like Najee Harris right now and seeing maybe if that person would go for Austin Eckler, because I imagine Austin Eckler owners are a little bit frustrated because they don't know his injury timeline. Maybe a Saquon Barkley. I try to find a guy who's going to be coming off an injury soon, but we know is going to be high volume. A
Do
guy
you
that
think
I would,
Eckler
yeah,
has a
Eckler.
chance to play this week, or are you still looking at 2 weeks?
I think he has a higher chance to play this week, and I think he's going to be a monster when he comes back realistically. Jonathan Taylor, I can't get a read on what exactly is going over there. I think Zach Moss performing like a monster here has kind of just pointed out that he's going to be great going forward and that he could potentially. Jonathan Taylor might not be relevant, which would suck. But we'll see how that kind of pans out over time here. Overall, this is a very running back healthy, I mean, not healthy team, focused team, in which case you have a lot of depth and a great way to keep consistent fantasy points. But I do think you need to build up your wide receiver room. Like Tyler Lockett as my wide receiver too is not something I want. They went out and got JSN for a reason, but I do see that you're sitting D Hop here, who will be good once he's actually like played a full week. That's just kind of the big question mark there is like, when is D Hop really going to practice a full week? Because that's when I think he's going to be good.
See, you think people are bearing D Hop a bit too early? Like I
Yeah,
feel like I see a lot of D Hop hate going around.
I think you look pat like people are looking at that completely forgetting about the first week where he had 13 targets and are just like D Hop sucks now. Like if you're able to command 13 targets at the end of the day, that's somebody I personally want on my roster. He's still got the talent for one more year, and I think he's going to get better going forward. So I'm not personally moving off of D Hop. I really like him, but I
That
would be
offense
yeah.
just
Go ahead.
looks so bad that it's tough to really trust it going forward. I mean, 3 points this week. Week one looked horrendous, and Tannehill's arm just looked pretty shot in general. So it's tough to like put too much trust into him. I think Diop as a player is fine. It's just this situation might not be
Yeah,
ideal.
I agree with that 100%. I'm just going off of pure volume for him and the talent from him that's still clearly there. It's just as you pointed out, Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback is just not that guy.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that progresses going forward. But I mean, just very solid on running backs. I just do a lot of two for ones to just try to build up this team more. Like, imagine having Austin Eckler on this team now, which, like, a statistic I always pointed out in the offseason was like when Mike Williams or Keenan Allen were out of the game, Austin Eckler averaged 22 and a half fantasy points per game. Mike Williams is now out for the whole entire season. Austin Eckler's injured, so I imagine that manager might be losing some games, in which case that they need to be pivoting more towards getting that better. How do you get your team rated? It's linked in the bio to the Discord, and just DM Jackson, and he'll get you situated appropriately with
My
how to go
Discord
about
is
that.
at Jamario Moon to DM me.
But going from there, I think this is a solid team. I mean, you got the biggest positional advantage there is. I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Kelsey drops 30 this weekend. Like, the Jets are particularly weak at the tight end position, or at least going against them, so that's a good matchup overall. I like this team. I hate Najee Harris. I don't like Tyler Lockett, and I don't like Derrick Henry, but you have a lot of facet on, like, depth pieces here that are pretty strong. I drop Brandon Cooks realistically. That you can do two for one packages to really turn this into an overall super team. Just need to see exactly who your league mates are to really turn this into a league winner. But overall, like you've got Aaron Jones going to be a dog when he plays. T. Higgins is really still very consistent. It's just all about Joe Burrow. Kyron Williams, one of my favorite late guy ads. This team should be able to perform well. I imagine it's 2-1 would be my guesstimation, though, if I had to take a guess. All right. So allow that one to minimize more. Oh, we even missed out Rashad White, which is actually a pretty good piece on there. It was just hidden in the depths here. Oh, and Jake Moody. Yeah, not bad overall. All right. Is this another team that I was?
It's the same one, I think.
No, I think this is a different team. Is it?
Those
No.
are the same bench guys, though.
Similar bench guys. Interesting. All right. So me trying to fix it. Main Majin Baba, you gotta pop in the Discord and Jamario will get you right. We probably got to figure out a better way to make these teams pop up a little bit bigger, so it's just easier to see. Maybe if I just download the images, that could potentially work better. But I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well, we'll talk about it. I guess some people who have poor eyesight will have to deal with it. I don't know what this team is here. This isn't...
Looks like it got cut off.
It looks like it got cut off in some fashion.
That's the same bench we were just looking at. I'm not sure.
No, it's
who
different.
attached
Yeah, it's
to.
different.
It's different. This one actually, like, their bench is Rashad White, Michael Wilson, who's a little bit of a sneaky waiver wire guy, OBJ, who I just don't think is relevant. Josh Reynolds is relevant. He's
Here,
not gonna be
how
relevant.
about we just go past Sink's team and Wells? You get to him personally in the Discord. How about that?
I got you. Let's see here. But overall, that team actually ended up being a lot better than I thought. Didn't realize your bench it wasn't too different, but it was relatively similar. In which case, I'd still offer the same advice of packaging like Christian Kirk, who I think is a sell high candidate right now with Derrick Henry potentially, or maybe try to see if you can do a 1-for-1 with Austin Eckler guy with Derrick Henry, and then take Najee Harris and Christian Kirk and optimize for a higher end player as well, which I would really advise for. Grant, if you don't mind popping in the TikTok live as well and directing people towards the Discord, that would be really helpful, just because I see some people asking how to send their teams accordingly. Just to make sure that we're getting them directed there. Sync, I'll help you out in the Discord directly just because I don't know how to help you here. It's cut off. It just doesn't look good. But we'll go on to the
Wells,
next
you want
one.
me to be adding these people to the live, or is this going to be in the next live that the new additions are coming?
I would just add them accordingly, just so that
Okay.
they can know that, like, okay, my team's being rated right now. I should probably check it out.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. So this is a dynasty team. All right, this is going to be a little bit more fun. So I'm making these expanded a little bit so we can see them a little bit better if we can accordingly, and kind of move from there, at least what I can. Probably not the easiest way to do that. All right, I got to figure out a better way to do this for future streams. But we got Brock Purdy, who's looking like an absolute smash from a dynasty perspective. Bijan Robinson, probably one of the best dynasty pieces you can have. I'm assuming this team's actually in a much better position to win now than I would guesstimate most people would assume. You have a lot of your first round draft capital still here. Chase Edmonds, Greg Dulcich on IR. Chris Rodriguez is definitely interesting. I'd encourage you to go get Julian Hill off of waivers, just because he looks like he's the receiving tight end for the Miami Dolphins. And it could be an interesting kind of bench guy. I don't know who Raheem Jarrett is, but I think he's drop worthy. Let's see.
I think that's just on the taxi squad. I think those guys are just there
Yeah,
chilling.
fair enough. Yeah, you have an extra taxi spot. I would go get Julian Hill for the tight end love. George Kittle is still great, but the only issue with George Kittle specifically is the fact that, like, when you have Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, he's just, like, essentially irrelevant when they're both active. So for me, I would be trying to pivot out of George Kittle into TJ Hawkinson if I could, because TJ Hawkinson is really becoming dominant in terms of the fantasy tight end spectrum, and it is going to be for a while. Mark Andrews is definitely interesting, but I just have concerns with that offense in general still, but I'm curious to see how it pans out moving forward. Debo's good. You look like you're in like a very hybrid spot of a win now slash like wait situation. So I think that's really kind of the big thing is, like, do you want to win now? In which case I would encourage you to spend your first round draft picks here, and go ahead and like upgrade your roster and turn it into a super team, because you have a decent quarterback in that of Brock Purdy. You have a very strong running back core between Travis Etienne and Bijan Robinson. But your flexes and wide receivers realistically could be taking a step forward if you really want to try to win the ship this year, which I would kind of like encourage you to do. Let's see here. Moving on here, we're going to move on from this specific team. We have going to cut off the name there for what I can.
Ooh.
It's a wild name. Jesus, gonna get me canceled. Let's see here. We got Tua at quarterback. We got Tony Pollard. We got Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Amon St. Brown, Darren Waller, Alvin Kamara. Let's see. Does he have a bench? Yes, he does. With an even better
What
name.
a 4-man league for you.
Yeah, like this is an insane team. Like my God. Yeah, this is a spot that I would genuinely just try to turn your team into a super team because I do think that your RB2 can be better than Joe Mixon this year. Yes, DM your team to Mario. But like this is a spot I would try to upgrade my RB2 specifically. I would try to potentially sell the hype on Alvin Kamara, and I would go out and get Austin Eckler. I would even see if I could upgrade to Travis Kelce. I think that's definitely worth it, especially with Taylor Swift now in the mix. We're going to see like he's going to be playing on a whole nother level. As dumb as that might sound. But yeah, no, this is a very, very strong team. Like, I have nothing but the best to say that this team should easily be able to win a ship. The only thing that I would advise for you to do is really focus on improving your running back room in the sense of the RB2. I think you can sell some hype on Alvin Kamara right now before he comes back, because I don't think he's the same player he was. In which case, I would encourage you to go get Austin Eckler coming off of injury. And I'm trying to think how you could do that potentially. But yeah, like you could even move off Lamar Jackson realistically if you wanted to. Or anything along those lines. Like this is just a very strong team overall. I just encourage you to do some 2-for-1s to really turn this into a super team. In which case your league mates become angry with you, but you would become like an absolute like dog. And I don't think anyone would do Eckler for Kamara. I just think more along the lines of you can do a 2-for-1 including Kamara. Slight difference there. All right. So moving on down to Sipes here. We have Justin Fields. We're probably going to have to go back because can't do that. But for those who can't really see too well, we have Justin Fields here. We have Alexander Madison, Mostert. Receiving core solid, very solid. I'd keep flex spot. Let's see. All right, so this is a team.
A lot.
It's a very strong team. You're playing in a league that it seems a bit more competitive. I think Justin Fields is actually in a phenomenal spot this weekend. They allowed him for 11 rush attempts this particular week, which I think is in a better position to kind of upgrade. Now, if I were you, I would see if the Brees Hall owner is becoming very frantic, or the Austin Eckler guy. I'd consider selling high in Raheem Mostert because I do believe that Devin Achane, I believe is how you pronounce his name, is going to be the guy going forward. In which case, I am very, very interested in trading for these guys who are kind of falling off, whereas Raheem Mostert is currently the RB1. And I doubt he has that level of performance with the running back depth that Miami has. It's just like McDaniels was banging on the chest, on the desk apparently for Devon Achane, or Achane. I gotta figure out how to say that properly.
I think it is A-Chain. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I think that's right.
I thought he said Achane.
He said it was Achane. That's what he's pivoted towards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it was called that the whole entire time, but it goes Mostert for Eckler straight. Yeah, if I could do Mostert for Eckler, I would 100% do that. He'll send it. Braden, he'll get Jamario is in this call right now. He's gonna do an update once we get like halfway through for those who haven't gotten their teams just checked yet, and I'll go in there.
Well,
Do you think Wells? Do you think someone like Tank Dell is a better ad this week than Achane?
I think Achane's the guy, but what were you saying, Jackson?
I was saying this user is particularly worried about Fields, if I remember correctly, in their quarterback situation.
Okay. Let's see. All right, I see they're also in the chat here. You're sending Ingram and Pacheco for Bijan. That is an absolute dub and a half. That's a league-winning play. But like, I wouldn't be worried about Fields at least this week, because this Denver Broncos defense was abysmal against the run we saw this past week. Albeit the kind of like big question mark is like the passing game. I do think that PS2 is going to lock down what's his name? DJ Moore. But in general, I just think that like Fields has got a decent chance to run it for over 100 yards in this game. Because I think that they're going to be like, okay, this is kind of the best way to optimize it accordingly. Like it's the only thing that's going to work for them. Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And if they don't, then I would be concerned about them. But you also have Anthony Richardson on your roster, so you have a rookie who's shown out well, clearly runs the ball, like probably the most efficient on their team outside of Zach Moss right now. I'm pretty optimistic. He has no tight end at his 1 to 2. How the trade is going down, like fair enough. Yeah, like you get Bijan on this roster, you are going to be dominating. And all you need to do is upgrade your running back too. In which case, I encourage you to sell Mostert and trying to see another piece on your roster. I don't know. You might even be able to do Mostert straight up for Eckler. You're going to get Eckler. Yeah, that's the guy that I would really encourage you to go get because I just see him be an absolute dog. Like, I just see Eckler being very involved in that offense, in which case this team should win the league. And either Anthony Richardson or Fields is going to put you in that position to really take that next step forward, which I think will be awesome for you. But
I would also consider, I mean, Dell could be good, but you could consider getting a receiver in addition if you're already getting Bijan. Because who knows what Puka looks like without or with cutback.
Yeah,
he could still be elite, but we honestly have no idea. So
yeah,
there's potential to go grab a solidified guy that can slide in there.
Yeah, the big question mark more than anything. You're dropping Dotson for Palmer. I want to have hope for Dotson, I really do, but I think that's probably a smart play at this point. Like, Dotson has just become irrelevant in an Eric Bieniemy offense. Maybe if Jacoby Brissett pops into that roster, then we'll see it become a little bit better. I wouldn't be trading Garrett Wilson just yet, just because it looks like we're going to be seeing another vet come into that offense and probably take over. But moving on to the next roster, you guys are very interesting with your team names. Like, my God.
I totally didn't even think about censoring any of those when I was.
Yeah, going forward, we're censoring the team names.
He doesn't even have P. Ryan.
Yeah, it doesn't have P. Ryan, man. That's sad. Let's see. You got Tutu Atwell, who. What is the scoring for
17 points?
I'm assuming this is per rush attempt or something like that.
This guy said he's most concerned about Zach Moss.
Most concerned about Zach Moss. That's fair. I think this is per rush attempt. I wouldn't be too concerned right now because this is the reality of the matter with that kind of running back room is we don't know if Jonathan Taylor's actually going to come back. Like, we really don't. Like, we're expecting him to come back, but we really don't know if he actually will. Because the management hasn't been too happy with him. He's not been happy with management. We'd expect him back, but I'm not fully on the train of, like, we're super emphatic about him being, like, right on back.
If he never comes back, I think Moss is
Moss is
very comfortably a top 15 running back.
Yeah.
Moss is
easily
just a risky one. It's a risky one, yeah.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, like he's still a very solid option. I think Zach Moss is great. His snap share is really like what you want specifically out of these kind of guys. Let's see here. But moving on to the rest of your roster, you have David Montgomery, who is an absolute dog. I think A.J. Dillon is completely irrelevant at this point. If you have somebody in your league who is willing to trade for A.J. Dillon, send it. I don't care if it's for a pack of chips. A.J. Dillon has become completely irrelevant in the NFL. Was not efficient. It's the Aaron Jones show. Darnell Mooney's droppable for me. Jerry Jeudy, I really like that you have him on your roster. And I would consider putting him over Tutu Atwell in this particular week. Just because Tutu's awesome, but I imagine this is going to be the Puka show this weekend. Just because like Puka got kind of locked down in terms of the secondary because like somehow the secondary got better for the Bengals. Shout out getting rid of Eli Apple. But outside of that, like this secondary for Indianapolis sucks. Like it's one of the worst in the league. So I think there's a very good kind of situation. It is TikTok. That is a good referral code, Your Mom's Refrigerator. And Your Mom's Refrigerator is also one of the OGs from the summer, so happy to have him in here and happy we can get to his team. But overall, I like this team. I think your running back situation's fine. I think putting David Montgomery back in there when he's fully healthy is going to help you a lot. If anything, I would consider selling high on Zach Moss and doing a 2-for-1 package with, let's see who else you have here.
I would consider throwing Atwell in there just because
Yeah.
we talked about Puka getting like a downtrend with cutback. I think Atwell is the guy who could suffer even more. So
Yeah, Atwell will become
a
completely
touchdown this
irrelevant.
week, he's averaging what? I mean, I don't know in this scoring, but in a normal scoring, he's averaging 11, 12 ish. So I would look to get rid of him and sell on a high for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like a 2-for-1 package to improve this roster would turn it really into a league winner. Very strong team, like it as a whole. Let's see here. Priscilla, Barkley Jukes, happy to see you back in here. DM Jamario, and he will get you adequately set up for this stream. There's a couple requirements you have to do in the Discord because we do have a lot of teams that we're trying to get through, so we can't do every single one unless you meet said requirements.
But we'll get to everybody, even if it's after this stream. If you hit me up on the Discord,
we'll make sure that it's optimized accordingly.
Yeah, we'll be typing messages for a while after the stream ends. So
let's see here. So now we're looking at, I want to say this is our guy Brody here. Hopefully he's in the stream. If it's the Brody I'm thinking of, he's an absolute dog. Been part of this stream for a while now and really happy to have him in the PredictionStrike community. What's up, Brody? I see you in the stream there. So this is your team, I'm assuming. Let's see. We got Tua. Your running back room is weak. I'll admit it is definitely weak. Let's see here. You got Kyron Williams and you got Jerome Ford sitting in your 2 running back spots. So you're sitting not pretty, but it's decent. Your receiving core is beautiful. Tight end could definitely use some work just because we don't like Dallas Goedert just isn't the most efficient. Let's see here. But looking at it, you got Dameon Pierce. You're holding the bag on that as you should. Once that offensive line is fully healthy for Dameon Pierce, you can easily slot him up in there. Let's see here. Najee Harris is a burning bag right now. Let's see here. It's overall fine. I would consider doing some 2-for-1 trades to try to improve your running back room. I mean, Jerome Ford and Kyron Williams are great. But it's more of a kind of question mark of like how exactly do each of them fully fit into their system as the season progresses. Like, what are the odds that potentially Kyron Williams stays in this role for the whole entire season? We don't really know. In which case, then it's not bad taking someone like Kyron Williams and maybe doing a like straight up 1-for-1 for Breece Hall. Because I do imagine Breece Hall we're seeing overall his utilization go up. He's got the talent profile that we really like, and is going to be more focused on in there. Let's see. Would I trade Andrews for TJ Hawkinson?
no.
I probably wouldn't.
I mean,
it's the number 1 target in an offense compared to the number 2/3. That's the only kind of difference there. Although I do think that Kirk Cousins has been absolutely cooking. That's just kind of the only difference there.
This team we're looking at, though, is a good example of a relatively no RB strat where probably the first 3 picks were all receivers, and then you get lucky with Kyron and Ford, and things are looking up. Obviously, you have Taylor coming back, too, but this is like a no RB strat that's done pretty much to perfection with how it worked out with you.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was gonna say good work in the management office.
This is a beautiful team overall, Brody. Really liked how you built this. Only advice, of course, would be try to improve the tight end position and the running backs if you could. You got JT, who we really don't know how he's going to be when he comes back. In theory, he comes back. He could be averaging 25 fantasy points underneath Shane Steichen here, which would be phenomenal. And you have Dameon Pierce, who will also be a dog. You're 0-3, though. Do you need to do anything? I don't understand how you're fully 0-3 with this team, to be honest. Hey, this is a pretty solid squad. You must have had some very difficult matchups. I would consider trying to trade for Austin Eckler. That would be kind of the running back I would target right now. Face top scorer every week. Yeah, you just got unlucky. Like that's part of fantasy football and what happens, unfortunately. In theory, you should be going against some lower scores. You have like a ridiculous wide receiver core, which I think is just really important. Like, I don't even want to say to trade Jalen Waddle just because we just watched the Miami Dolphins like absolutely like dog walk the Broncos, whose defense do suck. But like Jalen Waddle could be a guy who's putting up 30 fantasy points some weekends at this point. Like maybe 40, 50. Like it's insane what Mike McDaniels has been able to do over there. But if you wanted, like, you could trade one of your higher end receivers to get a higher end running back to turn this into a super team. You're 0-3 right now. You said you face against every single top scorer. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think you're going to be able to progress yourself into a much better situation going forward. This is a very strong team. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Let the math work itself out. But very, very strong team. I like what you got going here, Brody. We're going to move on to the next team, though. So we got our boy Kamari. I'm pretty sure this is the Kamari I know from the stream. Absolute beast. Been in it for a while. Let's see. Do you drop someone for Achan? We'll go back up to you real quick. I would. So this is a situation that you'd want to do a
JSN.
2-for-1 trade. In which case, I would encourage you to like. That's how I would optimize it accordingly. I'd see if you can get somebody who's willing to do a 2-for-1 trade, and I would go off of that because then you can get Achan. But it's like you got to get that trade done tonight. That's the only kind of advice I can advise. I do think Najee Harris is becoming less relevant. So maybe he's kind of fitting that category, but he's not particularly there yet. And I wouldn't
I mean, you
drop
could
JSN,
drop.
but it's not
Yeah.
bad. Like if you had to choose one, like JSN seems like the most likely.
Yeah.
Just Michael Thomas is getting just so much volume. Let's see here. Now we're back onto our boy Kamari. Happy to see you in here, Kamari. We got Kirk Cousins at quarterback, who's looking like he will finish as the top 5 quarterback right now, which is kind of wild. But at the same time, not particularly. You got Jahmyr Gibbs in your RB1 slot. We just need in a PPR format for him to really kind of get that volume. D for him and going to try and work some later in the week. That's awesome, Brody. I think that should work well for you. You got Jamar Chase and Amon St. Brown, absolute dogs at the wide receiver and tight end position there. Really, really like that. Bills defense, I do not like their matchup this week. You know me, I'm a big streaming defense guy. So that's kind of how we go about that. Miles Sanders looks like he's in a good spot this week. Deshaun Watson and Kirk Cousins are fine for the quarterback position. You probably have someone in your league who needs a tight end bad, and with how well Sam Laporta has been playing, I love Sam Laporta, do not get me wrong, but somebody will be willing to pay high for Sam Howell right now. I'm not Sam Howell, Sam Laporta. So he's somebody that I would not say is like a big sell high candidate, but is definitely somebody you can sell to adequately improve an asset in your team. Like maybe you want to pick up Bengals. Fair enough, that's fair. Let's see here. Josh Reynolds, I don't really think is worth having on the roster anymore. Zach Moss, honestly, could mostly make the roster. Maybe you do a package of Zach Moss and Sam Laporta. Like I'm gonna tell everyone in this stream to be targeting Austin Eckler once he's kind of like back in the flip of things here, just because of how many fantasy points he does average. So that's kind of my only not reservation, but like focus there. This is a very, very strong team. I love that you have Jalen Warren because he's looking to become more and more relevant. You even have Cooper Kupp. My God. Once Cooper comes back, I don't know if there's going to be anyone to beat this team, regardless of how your room looks. But maybe package
Yeah,
Sam
the bench
Laporta.
is really cool.
Yeah, maybe package Sam Laporta and Alexander Madison if you're worried about the Cam Akers situation. And go get Austin Eckler. I think that's generally something you could pull off. It all depends on what your league mates are willing to do. But Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, both good targets in my opinion. Like this is a very, very solid team. I would be surprised if this team does not win the league. Like the only weakness is in theory is the running back, but like just very, very strong team. Like this a lot. Great job, Kamari. Moving on to the next team, we got another beautiful name there. Trying to figure out how to. Damn it! All right, let's expand this a little. Yeah, we're figuring out a better way to hide the names for next stream. No problem, Kamari. Happy to help. Genius name building here. Let's see here. So we got Jalen Hurts at starting quarterback, Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs. Hold the line with Josh Jacobs. What time is the next stream? For the streams, we're probably not going to do another one tonight. We're going to try to get through all these ones tonight and move from there. But next stream, I might be doing one either super late tonight to kind of go back forth through start sits, or we'll do one tomorrow morning at like 11 a.m. Eastern. But flex Rashad White, that's fine for now. Let's see. I'm trying to see what you have on bench here. I mean, this is a
A
solid
lot of
team.
high upside.
A lot of high upside. It's definitely in a more difficult spot. But it's more of a question of how does Marquise Brown do week to week? Will brain fart here. Will Josh Dobbs be able to stay consistent with how he's been playing? I don't know. I really don't know if he's going to be able to support someone like Marquise Brown. So Marquise Brown, I think you could potentially sell high. You just have to package that with a piece. I do like that you have Dameon Pierce here because once the offensive line is healthy, it's going to be a lot better. You got 2 open bench spots here, though, man. What are you doing here? Make sure these are filled. Like, you don't need to leave these open. In which case,
I was gonna say they could look into getting rid of Jahan Dotson, but they don't even need to do that.
yeah, like fill out your bench pieces. Go make sure you get Achon this weekend or tomorrow, I guess, and like Josh Palmer. Should you do Ridley and Goddard for Jacobs and Waller? Is that too much? I wouldn't be getting rid of Ridley personally. I really think you need to hold the line with Ridley. Let's see. Should you trade Debo for Ridley and Pierce? I prefer the Ridley side, honestly. That might be too much of a reaction on my end, but I think Ridley and Pierce are going to be 2 rising assets that will improve your team over time. Overall, this team's fine. I do think you need to improve your bench spot here. Let's see. In which case, I'm looking at just Marquise Brown and Rashad White would be pieces I'd be trying to improve. I think your running back room in general is fine, but I would try to move these specific pieces right here that I'm pointing at. And you can probably throw in Sam Laporta because you're fine with Mark Andrews at your tight end realistically. Just because I also think that we're going to see like Sam Laporta's value dip by the time we get to week 6, which isn't too far from now. And I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting about that. But perhaps I'm underthinking that. But I would just be trying to fix your flex spots here more than anything. Overall, I think it's a fine team. All right, moving on to hopefully a more name-appropriate team. It's a very, very small way to look at this. Like, you guys probably can't see it too well on screen here, but their quarterback is Lamar Jackson. They got Jahmyr Gibbs as the running back, Jalen Warren, RB2, Chase, Higgins. So you're very involved on this whole entire Joe Burrow lineup. I feel bad for you a little bit. Kyle Pitts is on the come up. Let's keep that in mind. His utilization is getting more and more throughout this season, so he's definitely somebody that's a little bit of a buy low candidate. Let's see. What else can you do? I'm sorry about the Priscilla. Let's see here. Kyle Pitts, yeah, that's unfortunate. Like, he's going to get better. Lockett, I don't like for you. I'm sorry. Let's see here.
The bench is great, though.
Yeah, the bench looks solid. This is a spot where you got to see, like, maybe Gabe Davis has a nuke spot this weekend, which I do think is possible with what's projected to be the highest scoring game right now, in which case it could get a lot better for you, and in which just could really like turn some pieces over. There's definitely some weaker spots on this team. I will admit that. And this is where we go to the whole 2-for-1 trading type thing. In which case, Zach Ertz, it's just not worth it. Like, he's a descending asset 100%. D-Hop's good, but unfortunately, it's not. Braden, you'll likely be one of the last ones because you were asking in the stream specifically, and Jamario's just adding them as we kind of go along here, making sure that all the requirements are met to have the team rated. Let's see.
I think if you have Jerome Ford and you're not starting him, he's the guy that you need to be trading.
Agreed.
Like you said, in a 2-for-1 or something. Your running backs are solid, but both of them are more on potential in the future, and neither of them have really lived up to what we all think they could be this year. But I would, if you're not going to start Ford, I would package him up even with like Jalen Warren or something and get like an Eckler or someone that you can like rely on every week.
Facts.
But same with Montgomery, same with Najee, same with, I mean, Gainwell, I guess, is that kind of a low, but with those 3, I definitely would look to package them up.
Yeah. Like, that's the only kind of downside to this specific team is that, like, it's just not in a spot where anything can really be sold high. And I'm not going to be telling you to sell out a Jamar Chase and T. Higgins realistically. Like, those are 2 high-end receivers that will perform well. Lockett's just kind of, to put it unfortunately. It's not a good spot for him right now. Jalen Warren is definitely a ascending asset. Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of back and forth. What you realistically could do is you could trade out a Lamar Jackson. That is not the most advisable thing in the world, but a lot of people really overrate the quarterback position in general in the sense that like they think that like points aren't replaceable. That is the one position that realistically has the easiest spot to replace points. In which case you can get a higher end receiver or running back or anything that you need in this kind of team to build, which I do think you need in general. D-Hop's unfortunately not been the most consistent for you. Let's see. Yeah, I would trade Nico Goddard and Najee for Jacobs and Waller. I'd want the Jacobs and Waller side. Just understand that Waller could continue to be inconsistent here, but we'll see how that kind of progresses with time. Let's see here. Yeah, that's really how I'd attack this, Blake. I'm not sure if you're in this stream, but that's how I'd play it. And for those who haven't gotten their stream rated or just want to kind of like hear back on what exactly went about throughout this analysis as we go through these, this is going to be uploaded on YouTube as well, so that you guys can go back, see how we went about these teams and our overall thought process. So encourage you guys to go check that out after to make sure that you have our full thoughts. So next team here, we have Lav, Team GRM USA. In which case we got Josh Allen, Bijan Robinson. Oh my gosh, this is looking beautiful as I'm looking down it. Congratulations on winning your league. Holy shit. This is an absolute dog of a team. You're definitely overpaying right now. I wouldn't try to overpay, Kamari. Remember, the Discord is there to help you to make sure that you are sending the best kind of adequate pieces to turn your team into a league winner. This is just a review stream, but the one that I'm looking at right now is, my God, is it beautiful. I don't think it's going to get better than this. I don't really have anything to advise for you. Clearly, you are 3-0, and that's not surprising. Should you trade Bijan for Hill? No, you don't need to trade anything here. This team is amazing from a fantasy perspective. You've got so many good fantasy pieces in there. The only thing that you could theoretically do is build up Brian Robinson, but I think he's an amazing talent, so maybe I'm overreacting in general. I think this is a very strong team. I see you weren't able to see your full bench, but it looks like you got some pieces you could even do 2-for-1s realistically, that you could really turn this team into an even better league winner, and that's kind of what I would advise you to do. I think Zay Flowers might be a little bit of a sell high kind of candidate right now, as much as I love him as a talent. But you could realistically package with Cortland Sutton, who had a good week, and build up to an even stronger RB2, which is what I would advise you to do. I love Brian Robinson, but realistically, there's other running backs you can target that are going to be more efficient. Even though Brian Robinson, I think, had 7 yards per carry this weekend, which is just insane. That's all I could really advise you to do. You theoretically need to build up your flex and your RB2. Darren Waller is going to be hit or miss on some weeks. I think this is a better week. I've been a big Darren Waller truther, but I think people are underrating him on the market right now. But overall, you got Keenan Allen, Amon St. Brown, and Bijan and Josh Allen. Those 4 pieces in themselves should be able to carry you pretty much every single week right now. And I'm very confident in that. So overall, I personally love this team. But we will see kind of how it progresses going forward. Overall, great job. I believe that you're going to be winning your league here, but we'll see how.
Wells, if you were redrafting right now, where would you draft Keenan Allen?
Middle of the second, maybe closer to the first. You can't obviously project
Garrett Wilson spot, basically.
Yeah, you can't project injuries. I mean, the big reason that we all thought that Keenan Allen wasn't going to be relevant was mainly because of age. It wasn't because of the talent profile. It was age and how he does. But that was kind of the issue overall there, was the age factor of we're all thinking he's going to fall off from that sense. Mike Williams is going to become more relevant, in which case Keenan Allen has proved to break the age trend here, such as Mike Evans has. So I think that's something.
The rest of the year he's top 7, 8 for you, probably somewhere around there.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see here. But yeah, absolute dog. He's going to be a top 5 kind of guy. Really like this team overall. Moving on to the next, we have Jay Voigt. I'm sorry that these teams are a little bit small for you guys to read. We will figure out a way to make these a little bit bigger for the next time we do this, because first time doing these kind of reviewing teams, we'll be doing more of these in the future. Just first time in general. So sorry that these are a little bit smaller than they would be. We'll figure out exactly how to make these bigger going forward. But we got Anthony Rich. Make sure this is in a Dynasty team. Nope, it's not. All right. So we got Anthony Richardson, Tony Pollard, Bijan. I love that. This was one of my, zoom in on the dock. Oh, wait. Which one's the button to zoom in?
The 100%. Click the 100 and turn it into
Ah, yes. Thank you, Grant. I'm an old man. Let's see here. So
Definitely better.
much better here. All right, so we got Anthony Richardson, Tony Pollard. This is my favorite start for running backs this whole entire offseason. Like, I absolutely love this. Let's see. You guys DM Jamario on Discord, and he'll tell you how to get your team rostered onto one of these. Rate your team so we can go through it together. He's going through that simultaneously to this to make sure. Yes, Brody, if you go ahead and do that, we can do that one at the end of the stream here. We're not going to try to go too long because Grant and Jackson have lives, whereas I need to learn how to touch grass. But we're going to try to get through as many of these as we can. That's mine. You're picking up Palmer for Bourne and the Steelers D. I like that overall. Jacoby Myers is actually performing really well. I thought he was going to be relatively relevant. Too many RELs. But UDM Jamario Moon on our Discord. But Anthony
At Jamario Moon.
At Jamario Moon. Anthony Richardson, he's looking to turn to an absolute amazing talent. I am curious. Like, this is the only reservation I have about Anthony Richardson right now, is we don't know if they're going to try to force him to play a different play style once he actually comes back, because he played at a very, not, I wouldn't say aggressive is the right term, but a way that you could potentially get more injuries, I guess we can kind of say here. So that's what I would have a little bit of reservation about, but in theory, he should continue to do the same thing he did before. Let's see how he does against Aaron Donald, though. Then we have Tony Pollard and Bijan, as I said, favorite start. Calvin Ridley, he's a buy low candidate right now for me, so I'm happier holding the bag there. Tank Dell, my favorite rookie receiver. Not favorite, but one of them this offseason. Sam Laporta, I think he's a little bit of a sell high candidate as we get closer, but as long as JMO is not part of this roster, he is going to be a dog in terms of fantasy. Josh Jacobs, great buy low candidate. Your running back room is beautiful. Looking down here, you have Garrett Wilson. Okay, that sucks. But unfortunately, he looks like he's going to be getting a different quarterback behind the helm, which should overall improve his fantasy outlook. Yeah, I think
Roshan's a great bench piece too.
Yeah, Roshan's an ascending asset. He could even have like a nuclear type game this week. The only thing I would really advise here is, like, I love Tank Dell. Do not get me wrong. I've been a big Tank Dell truther this whole offseason. But, like, you need to improve your wide receiver too here. That is the one facet you do need to improve. That's kind of weak right now. And there's plenty of receiving options that you can really look at. Like, you can potentially go buy T. Higgins. You can go buy plenty of these, like, high-end receivers that just aren't performing.
And which target someone like an Olave with Josh Jacobs or something like that.
Yeah. And I see you've been
eventually you'll be able to start Garrett
Yeah.
Wilson again, hopefully, if the quarterback market goes how it looks like it will. I still think Garrett Wilson and, like, Jacoby Myers, like, it's still probably worth starting Garrett Wilson for now.
Yeah. Garrett Wilson's more about the matchup.
It's a scary one, but yeah.
It is scary. He's definitely worth holding in the bag. Hopefully that Geno Smith clip actually, like, pans out to be true for you, Jared, in which case, like, JSN will actually become relevant in fantasy football / the NFL. But, like,
what was the clip?
It was Geno Smith going, like, I need you, man. Like, you're my guy, blah, blah, blah. Then he only gets one reception and 10 yards. So it's like, thanks, Geno. But we'll see how that pans out. Overall, it's a strong team. Happy you're dropping Kendrick Bourne for Josh Palmer. That should improve your roster more. That's the only thing that I would recommend you do, though, is just continuing to try to improve your receiver core, because your running back room is literally insane. And you could even potentially sell one of these higher end. Yes, Jamario Moon as the guy you got to be DMing on Discord. You could even try to buy low on Dameon Pierce and really just solidify points week over week over week for your team here, in which case it kind of steamrolls. Because remember, the safest points in fantasy realistically are the running backs, just the ones who have the most upside are your receivers. But overall, I like this team in general, Jared. I think you did a great job with it. And I like that you're streaming your defenses each week. And, of course, you got the GOAT, Jake Moody. But moving on to the next team here, we have Caleb Sims. Moving it over. Show me the TDs. Phenomenal team name. I can't wait to get a community guidelines violation from TikTok. Let's see here. We're going to zoom out a little bit here just to make this a little bit easier to look at. So this is your bench here, but we're going to look at the actual... I guess we don't have the actual roster. Unless if I'm missing it somewhere. I think we just have the bench here.
Huh.
Weird. It happens. I see Tank Dell's in your flex. You got Mark Andrews. That looks like it's strong, and I imagine the rest of the top half is strong if your bench is looking like this. You also trade for Josh Jacobs? Okay, Sim and Co. Um, do you mind typing in this chat real quick? What should we call? Yes, we do, Dallas. If do you mind typing your team in this chat? For whatever reason, I am not seeing the full roster on this document. That's on my end. I may have accidentally deleted it because I'm a bit of an idiot. But I'll try to see if I can find it. But if you could type it in real quick, we'll try it too, Gatatho. You're typing? Awesome. We'll wait a second here. We'll review. Let's see here. But for the 50 plus of you who are sitting here as we're going through these teams, appreciate you guys. If you guys want your team rated or whatever, we're going to try to get through every single one in this stream. It may have to be saved for the next stream, just a heads up. But the list link to that is in the bio, the Discord. Just like that. The Discord's in the bio. You have our boy Jamaro Moon here, Jackson, that you guys can DM, and he'll tell you exactly how to get your team on this overall list of ratings.
Hit me up and we'll get to you, whether it's on the stream or on the Discord or otherwise, we'll get to you. So definitely send me a DM.
Exactly. And remember, the Discord is entirely free. We don't charge you guys for anything. We get paid to do research so that you don't have to. Just remember that in the Discord, we have a bunch of fancy analysts constantly sitting in there answering all of your guys' questions all the time, so you guys don't have to worry about that either. This is the only segment that we ask you guys to actually, answer. It's on Discord is who you go with. But this is the only segment we actually ask you guys to download the PredictionStrike app. Fields running. Okay, Bijan, Ramondre, CD, Hollywood Brown. Okay, so Hollywood Brown is a guy that I would try to improve. This is, I think, a spot where you can do a 2-for-1 trade. But the fortunate thing is you don't really have a lot of pieces you can, but you got Cooper Kupp coming back. So you got Fields as your Fields as your QB, which I think he's in a really good spot. And maybe you pivot towards a more strong quarterback going forward if he doesn't stay consistent in the future, which I do think is kind of a question mark. Bijan's an absolute dog. Ramondre's been very up and down, but I do think the volume will catch up to him eventually, hopefully. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can always combine him and Jerome Ford and probably get like Austin Eckler. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think somebody would buy for that right now. Because all those people who have those high-end running backs that are like, you have Jacobs now instead of Ford? Even better. Like, I would go ahead and plug in Jacobs more often than not. I think he's an absolute dog. But Hollywood Brown,
Chargers run defense isn't great either, so
yeah,
hopefully a big Jacobs game.
Exactly. Hollywood Brown, I would try to improve on personally. I just don't think he's really worth it. And I think that's somebody that you could like combine in a trade package because I think Josh Jobs hype is starting to kind of get there with how prevalent he's becoming on TikTok, and so on and so forth. So I think that's kind of where I would go with that. And I love Tank Dell. He's my guy, but I do think you need somebody that's going to be, to a theory, more consistent in the flex spot for you. But I think it's more than fine. It's just overall a pretty strong team. Obviously, your big question marks around the Justin Fields thing, but I think he's got a very good chance of dropping 30 fantasy points for you this weekend if they allow him to run. Just remember that. It's all about if they allow him to run. That's really the big question mark. The Discord link is in the bio, John C. says. But moving on to the next team, I like your team in general, Co. I wouldn't make too many different things. You made a smart move getting Josh Jacobs on your team. If anything, maybe go buy low on Dameon Pierce as well. But overall, solid team. And on top of that, I forgot to completely mention this. You got Cooper Kupp, which is going to come back and be an absolute dog. So that's also going to help your team improve even further. So moving on to the next team we have here, Fares Samara. Let's see here. Yeah, he has Kupp, Barkley. Like, it's crazy. Let's see here. So we're going to zoom in here. All right, we got Joe Burrow, Aaron Jones. Damn, I feel bad with the Joe Burrow thing. Hopefully he picks it up, which I imagine he will. I don't like starting Christian Watson immediately. My only kind of concern about, like, Christian Watson specifically is the fact that, like, I don't really like just starting guys the second they come back from injury, because even though the Packers are known to be very cautious with their whole entire, like, injury rapport, it should be better than I'm expecting, but I do have reservations about that off the gate. But very strong running back core, decent quarterback right now. Very strong receiving core. And Tyler Higbee's hit or miss on whether he's going to be relevant. Brendan Aubrey's fine. You got Stafford stashed on the bench. Kyler Murray on the IR. That's fine. Roshan Johnson liked that play a lot. Jalen Warren is becoming more like your bench is very strong and it fits that 0 RB mold. Ramondre Stevenson, I would even consider throwing in here if needed. But overall, like this is a very strong team. Only thing is you need more consistency out of Joe Burrow, but we'll see how it goes.
I would be starting go down Ramondre over Christian Watson this week, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a much safer play in theory, especially with how many receptions he'll likely get. You could even do Jalen Warren against Houston if you wanted, or Roshan Johnson against Denver. There's more than fine. There's just plenty of options that you can really go to there that actually just work really well this weekend. Christian Watson could very well go off for 20, 30 fantasy points, and this absolutely ages like milk. But it's playing it a little bit safer sometimes because you never know how these guys are really going to go. Aiden, we'll be doing defenses tomorrow for you guys. I'll have the defenses that I like for this week and the defenses I like for next week. I don't really want to be telling you guys, I wouldn't say defenses right out the gate, but I want to have video content for you guys each. No problem, Aiden. So moving on to the next team, just to put it in general though, I do like this team though, just to be clear, Samara. It's a nice team. Just overall some small things you can improve on. Maybe even try to trade up a little bit more to get some higher end running backs like our Saquon or Austin Eckler. Because remember, those managers are likely going to be panicking a little bit. They're going to be like, I don't have the running back depth that I need and that I want to turn this into a league winner. Let's see here. We have Majin Buba. That is definitely an interesting name. I like it. Matt Stafford, Joe Mixon, Raheem Mostert. As we've been talking about a little bit here, I do think that Raheem Mostert is a little bit of a sell high candidate. I really think you can get the owner who has Saquon Barkley or Austin Eckler, preferably Eckler here, to bite on a Raheem Mostert kind of trade. I really think you can pull that off right now. I love that you have Brees on your bench because once we get to week 5, he is going to be an absolute dog. Very big on Brees Hall. Really like him a lot. I do think you need to be starting Justin Fields this week. I know you don't want to, and it hurts because we've been hurt so many times by our boy Justin Fields here. But I think it's worth starting him. And I think you need to fill out this extra bench slot because there's no reason to not have an extra bench spot. You should be starting Jalen Hurts over Kirk Cousins. But Justin Fields is in a really good matchup this week if he runs.
Do you think Brees' success relies on them bringing in a new quarterback, though? I think a lot of their run attack is so predictable that it's tough to.
It didn't matter last year,
Brees right away.
So I don't think it really matters this year. I just think he's going to be an absolute beast when he comes back. It takes about 5, kind of how it goes. He was planning on streaming on defenses. I think that's a very, very smart idea, Majin. I don't think it's a bad idea whatsoever. Looking at your team though. Zay Flowers is a little bit of a sell high candidate, but I like that you're sitting him against this Browns team. It's such a bad matchup for him, I'm not going to lie. Jets defense, I don't mind streaming it right now, but the thing is, if the quarterback play gets better, then that defense should be just an absolute monster. I love your receiving core.
I think Javonte could be a start this week. He hasn't done anything too crazy, but it's a good spot for him, I think.
Yeah, I would probably do Javonte over Joe Mixon, honestly. We've seen that run game be strong. He honestly didn't look that great against the Rams, which is kind of eh. But I think this is a pretty good spot to be starting Javonte as well. I like that call out by Jackson. Unfortunate, Josh Kelly might be a start this week. I'm not even gonna lie if there's no Austin Eckler. I know a lot of people wanted it the past 2 weeks. I was avoiding it the past 2 weeks, but I think this might be the spot where he does well.
Wells, we've got an unusual DM activity detected in the PredictionStrike army right now.
Oh God, what do you mean by unusual DM?
I think it's just a lot of DMs. A warning just popped up.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's actually kind of funny. Oh well, Discord can get over it. But overall, I think it's a pretty strong team. Let's see here. You should be looking to add off of waivers. I mean, the thing is, your team's very stacked. Like, you're in a great position now. Like, I would add Josh Palmer or Devin Achon. Prefer Devin Achon just because he's a nice handcuff to Raheem Mostert here because you've got a nice Dolphins contingent. In which case, then I'm telling you to start like trading Raheem Mostert for Austin Eckler. Like, I think you can do that as a 1-for-1. I generally think you can. And I would just be trying to do 2-for-1s here. Like, this is where you can really turn this into a full-on league winner. It's a very strong team, and you can optimize accordingly. It just kind of depends on exactly how it like turns out over the duration of time. But this is a very strong team. I like it in general. I'd start Fields over Stafford, and I really like that you have Breece Hall on your bench because he's going to be a league winner in my personal opinion. And I would do Javonte Williams over Joe Mixon realistically, but strong team in general. But moving forward here, we have Robles. So we got Deshaun Watson, Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown, Hunter Henry, Puka Nakua. Let's see, Zay Flowers, Tyler Lockett. Don't like your third flex here, but definitely seems like it's a deep league if you have 3 flexes. You got unlucky with Deontay Johnson's injury, but he'll be back soon enough. I'd put Kyron Williams in over Tyler Lockett. I just don't like the up and downness of him, and if they actually do believe in JSN as much as they theoretically should, then we should be seeing more involvement out of Kyron Williams. Kendrick Bourne is droppable to me. Russ is sort of cooking. Cole Kmet is droppable. Overall, it's a solid roster. Like, nothing really else to say. I just try to get a more upside flex here because, like, these 3 are going to be very up and down. That's really kind of the big question mark. You lost Chubb and Dobbins. Damn, you're 0-3-2. I'm sorry about that. Let's see here. What can we do then according to that? I mean, your quarterback's position's fine. Your receivers are very strong. You got a very, very strong running back 1. But, I'd try to sell high on Zay then, maybe, and get something that's more consistent. But overall, like, this is a very solid team, and I'd put Kyron in over Tyler Lockett. Like, you've played this well accordingly, and you're going to get Deontay Johnson back, who should be more relevant in fantasy. Like, this is a fine team. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it. Like, I'm sorry that you're 0-3, but it should be able to rebound accordingly. I imagine the math just hasn't worked in your favor too much. But we'll see how it plays out. I wonder, because we got 80s, we don't usually get this many amount of viewers on the desktop ones. That's why I did it on desktop. I wonder how many we actually have here, though. Like 80 people all DMing Jackson right now. It's kind of funny. Poor Jackson.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm glad we get to review this many people's teams.
Oh, yeah. Feed T more. I agree. I got scared. I was worried what I was going to say. But we have a very strong team off of first look here. You are probably 3-0 if you have this set up. Let's see. Hollywood and Dell for Ridley, I'm not worried about. Yeah, we do have to be cautious with some names. TikTok's definitely going to hit me with community guidelines, which is great. Yeah, no, I just like this team in general. I don't like Kareem Hunt. I'm out on him personally. I would consider improving your RB2 here. I think you can take Rashad White and
B-Rob, maybe.
B-Rob, realistically, yeah, I didn't want to say it, but B-Rob's a good option. I would prefer to sell Drake London, but, like, nobody's going to buy Drake London.
You could package Moore and Robinson or Moore and White
Yeah.
potentially for someone there. I think that the garbage time TD for people that weren't watching the game and didn't see that all that happened at the end, you could get a little bit of a sell on Moore because the numbers looked fine, even though the game was not great.
Agreed. Like that's the only thing I can really say for this specific team is, like, build up your RB2 more because your flex is going to be in a very, very good spot kind of moving forward here, in which case you're not going to have to worry about anything. Like, your flex is got Puka right now. You just pivot that towards Dameon Pierce realistically after we get to past week 5. And I know that sounds not the most optimistic right now because you're like, Dameon Pierce sucks in your mind, right? But guess what? They're going to get Laramie Tunsil back. They're going to get, like, the rest of their offensive line. It's going to be great. You're 1-2 right now. That's your team. This is a fine team. I wouldn't be worried. The math will go back to your favor. You'll be fine, sub. I really wouldn't worry. this team will work fine. Like, it's going to get it all together. I'm very confident in that. But moving on to the next team, overall, like, this gets like an A+ grade for me. Like, great job here. Jay Bowens. So we are looking at the actual team itself here. Sell Derrick Henry while you can. That's going to be my biggest theme here is if you have Derrick Henry, sell him. Don't sell him for a discount, obviously, but see if you can do like a 1-to-1 with the guy who has Eckler or the guy who has Saquon right now. Because I think you need to be pivoting out of that. Receiving core is more than fine. Jordan Addison, fun statistic, only 4 receivers had 26 fantasy points per game when they were 19 years old. That's Jamar Chase, Des Bryant, Michael Crabtree, and Jordan Addison. All great receivers there in their own right. So Jordan Addison will get better as time progresses forward. Sam Laporta is a little bit of a sell high candidate for me. See if maybe the Waller owner will trade realistically. Because remember, Sam Laporta is great, and he's going to be an absolute dog, but it's more along the lines of like, when J-Mo comes back, I do think we're going to see an overall deviation in usage there, which is a little bit concerning for me. Let's see here. Zay Jones is out. That sucks. Dalvin Cook is droppable to me. Scary Terry. That team is just, I can't figure them out. I hope Jacoby Brissett gets put in the starting roster there because then it's like, okay, the fantasy receivers become relevant again. But that's just kind of my thought process.
I think it's more the Bieniemy system we saw in Kansas City. The receiving room outside of if you have a guy like Tyreek Hill is just so unpredictable that
Agreed.
Any week it could be a new guy and the rushing attack looks really good. And so it's just too hard to predict at this point. I don't even know if a quarterback change would change too much. It's not like Howell has been that bad. Obviously, this week was bad from an interception standpoint, but in terms of volume and throwing the ball, like he's a capable guy in the offense. So it's just kind of a weird system and one that's hard to trust right now.
I agree. I think that's a very good call out, realistically. Yeah. Only advice I have for this team is really just build up your running back room a little bit better. Sell out of Derrick Henry. Jahmyr Gibbs is good in like a receiving role, which is what they really want to use him as. But like that's the only advice I'd have here is build up the running back room. I think your receiving core is fine. Your quarterback is an absolute baller. Just his coach. What is the coach for them again? I can't ever remember his name. The head coach.
For who?
The Chargers.
Brandon Staley.
Yeah, he sucks. He's just awful.
I really wanted them to not get that, for them to lose that game because he would have absolutely lost his job.
100%.
After going for that 4th and 1.
Yeah, like I would love to see Kellen Moore get put in the head coach role there. I think he'd actually do a good job.
Yeah.
But I think this team's fine. Jordan Addison's going to get better and better as the team progresses. Like, we've seen Kirk Cousins can really support it out. But what I said here is trade out of Derrick Henry, 100% Jalen. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will be fine. But your running back room needs work. That's the simplest way to put this. Like, you need to build this into something better. Go target the team who has Austin Eckler. Go target the team who has Saquon Barkley. That's how I would go about it. For those of you who are asking how to send your team, we probably won't get to it in this particular stream. We'll save it for the next one that we do of rating your guys' teams because we're already over an hour here, and we typically just do hour-long streams, but we want to get through the ones that all asked here. But DM Jamario on our Discord, link to that is in the bio. He'll send you the requirements to have your team rated on here, and we will answer your questions. But
if you guys like this format, we'll try to do this more often too. So
exactly.
There'll be more opportunities for things like this. So
exactly.
And also if you're looking to deposit after you create your account, use the promo code Discord for extra free shares with every $20 you deposit.
100%. But yeah, the requirements for that are in the Discord. Encourage you guys to pop in there. And the nice thing is, like, even if we're not able to get on here, we have a group of fantasy analysts constantly sitting in the fantasy football thread for you guys. They're always in there answering questions. Like, I don't think you guys understand. We literally have about 500 people constantly active in there, just absolutely buzzing like bees in the fantasy football thread. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. It's entirely free. Link to that is in the bio in the Discord. But overall, my advice here is just build out your running back core a little bit more. And we'll be trying to do these particular streams a little bit more for you guys and rating your guys' teams here. Because it seems like you guys like it a little bit. Portugal, you got my team, Smoking Thunder. All right, we got Tua at quarterback, who's just been an absolute beast. I don't know how you're projected
40
for 40.
points?
I think it's per passing attempt. I think it's per passing attempt is my guess. But yeah, that's just insane.
Click on. Wait, oh no, we can't click on. I would be very curious what he's had. So there, he might have like a 60-point game or something.
Yeah, like, do you think who would be the highest? Like, honestly, Andy Dalton probably had himself a freaking phenomenal weekend in this format. Like, he threw for like what 54 times, Stroud's a piece.
Stroud's been in the 40s. Yeah.
Like Jalen Hurts probably drops to the 8th round in this. Like, Jesus. Let's see.
Deshaun Watson.
You didn't set your lineup
Would be
yet. You're all
insane.
good, Portugal. You're all good. We'll see what we can do here. All right.
Mike, that sucks.
Let's see. Yeah, Mike sucks. I'm not sure if it's showing the whole bench. I don't think we get to see your whole bench here, unfortunately. Might just be how it's set up. Yeah, it's just how it is. You're 1 and 2. Yeah, just understand Mike Williams is out for the season. Oh yeah, you see that. You got Saquon. You got David Montgomery. Very strong running backs. Jalen Warren is becoming more relevant as the time progresses here. Josh Helly's fine. Ayuk's just a great route runner. Like, absolutely beautiful route running skills. He's getting better. Jerome Ford, Damian Pierce. You're working what you got right now. I understand in the running back room, you are 100% working with what you got. Your receiving core is a lot better than I think what most people would kind of look at and be like, okay. But, like, I think this is a pretty strong receiving core overall. This is just a great team. Like, your running backs are going to need a little bit of time to get better, in which case I can recommend to you take David Montgomery. Well, I can't really even say that. Like, this seems like a shallow bet, so you can't really do too many 2-for-1s. But, like, this is a solid team overall. I don't think it's bad, especially when you have Tua throwing like an absolute, like, dog. He's probably going to drop another 40 fantasy point game for you here, which is just wild to think about in my head that somebody's dropping 40 from pass attempts. But no, this is a great team. Like, you're just only kind of contingent is that, like, maybe taking Jerome Ford and packaging him with David Montgomery and going out and getting Austin Eckler or something. Like, that's all I'm going to consistently say. I know I consistently just be like, okay, go get it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, packaging Laporta with Henry is more than fine. Like, just understand that's only if he's on your bench, Jalen. I don't remember that team specifically because we've been through a lot of teams, and I've got short-term memory loss at this standpoint in time from this stream. But overall, like, this is a fine team. I would just be trying to do a little bit of 2-for-1ing to improve your running back room. 0.1 per passing yard, 6 per passing TD. Yeah, it definitely could be that Barkley Dukes. 100% could be. Moving on to the Pollard Express. Top tier name in terms of fantasy. Won't get me banned on TikTok. I like that. Yeah, Jalen Hurts, Tony Pollard, great. Congrats on winning your league. I think you're playing against 4 people. But, like, this is, like, insane. Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it smells like an 8, man.
Yeah, this must be a very small league because this is just way too good of a team. I don't know if I'd be starting the Seahawks defense considering how many points are put up against them each weekend. That's just me. I think people are overreacting to Danny Dimes apparently sucking against Fred Warner and crew. But I'd prefer Devontae over Higgins right now. The guy who's won a Heisman compared to the guy who's probably going to be on another team next year. But, like, I'd build out your RB2. Zach Moss has proved that he can easily be the guy. And you can package him with... Like, you got so many ways that you can play this. Just build up your RB2 and you won your league. Maybe even, like, build up your tight end here over Evan Ingram. Like, there's just so many ways you can play this. It's a very, very strong team. I would be very surprised if you do not win your league with this team. Congrats on winning. That's all I can really say. I'm assuming you drafted from the 1 spot, and even in that sense, I'm kind of like, how did you pull off Tony Pollard? Must have been from a trade, or people are just fading him that hard. But overall, congratulations on the W's.
Could have been keeper league.
Gosh dang it, these names are crazy, man.
I think that was fine.
This one's
Sounds
fine.
all right.
It's all right. Let's make this one a little bit bigger. That's fine. All right, so we will zoom back into our little goblin here. That's your team, Quinn. Right on. So we got Anthony Richardson, dog at this point in terms of fantasy. Tony Pollard, Kenneth Walker. Um, yeah, I like this team so far. Like really, like you got the best positional advantage that there is. You've done
Crazy
19
running
trades.
back
It's a
room.
12 man. Okay, that explains a lot. Um, Looking at your bench here, I would be trying to trade out a Marquise Brown and Terry McLaurin at this point in time, and maybe even Hunter Henry because you don't really need him. Um, and trying to improve your running back depth. And like I know that sounds a little bit weird, considering you're seeing that like Kenneth Walker's been a dog, right? The thing that concerns me about Kenneth Walker is the fact that he quite literally has watched Zach Charbonnet's snap share continue to increase more and more and more and more as the season has progressed. And I think that is something that we need to be kind of worried about in general. So that's my only reservation. Yep, a lot of these are 12-man leagues. I'd imagine that a decent amount of these guys are from our Discord, where we have a bunch of analysts answering your guys' questions constantly and helping you guys craft trades to turn your team into league winners. I do think that we're probably one of the better Discords at doing that. We're entirely free, so I encourage you guys to join that if you haven't. But overall, this is a great team. Great job with it. Should be a league winner. Just only thing
It's
that I would be worried about is like potentially Kenneth Walker in the
one thing
future.
that's weird is while Charbonnet's snaps have gone up, so has Walker's. Like Walker's
Yeah,
gotten more carries every weekend. So is Charbonnet. Maybe they're just looking at more of a full-on rushing attack, which in any case, then Kenneth Walker would still be the lead guy. He's still going to get all the goal line work. Like I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
there's not too much to be worried about.
I was gonna say like it's been 3 weeks, and I feel like it's only natural to like kind of boost your rookie running back snap share as kind of the league progresses, and like kind of like feel out how your offense works best. And it kind of, to me, I don't know, at least Wells, it kind of seems like KW's been the guy on that offense so far, like regardless of the snap share.
I agree.
He had a great
He's
week.
been a baller. He's gonna be he's just gonna be phenomenal. All right, I think we probably, but overall, great job with this team. Should be in a great position to do well. For those asking, send it to Jamario on our Discord. Link to that is in the bio, and he'll tell you how to get it set up on this rate your team thing. But we will be doing that in the next stream we do. I'll let you guys know in tomorrow's morning stream when we'll be doing our next one, but we'll go from there. I think this is probably one of our last teams here. Yep, this is our last team here we have for this stream, and then we're going to pop off. We got Drip or Drown, 1 and 2, unfortunately. But a very solid team. I don't understand how you're 1 and 2. I'm expecting you to be playing against some very difficult like matchups. This is the only thing I can think of.
Also had AJ Brown have a couple bad weeks to start out, and
That is true.
Ridley last week.
Let's see.
Cup coming back too. I mean, this team in general is very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, for real.
this team's going to be able to bounce back. I'm very confident in that. You've got a lot of bench pieces that have been popping off here and there that you could probably do some like better teams, to put it simply. And we'll kind of see how that progresses moving forward. We don't really have an exact idea of like what you can really package in this sense because it's like a lot of like not pennies, but like you've got $2 that you're trying to turn into $1 there. In which case, you can probably improve your RB2 a little bit more because we don't really know exactly how Alexander Madison's situation is going to play out with Cam Akers there. I still think the guy is. Let's see. He was hoping it could be reviewed tonight before tomorrow. Let's see here. What's your Discord name, Braden? And we'll throw it in the doc real quick. I think we have time for one more. Jackson, if you met the requirements, of course. That's kind of the big question mark. But we might
What's
just have to
username?
let's see. Braden, what's your username? But if not, you can always send it in the overall fantasy football thread that we have in there where everyone's answering questions.
Yeah, there's fantasy experts in there around the clock if we aren't able to get to you, and it's kind of urgent help that you need with your team.
It's Braden Hyatt.
Send in a message, and there will be people responding to you within 10 seconds. So
Yeah, Braden Hyatt 02, and then I'm imagining Barkley Jukes is Barkley Jukes. He's an OG.
Okay, got them both.
And we'll throw those in here real quick, and we'll do those as our last two for this stream here. just make sure that you guys are signed up for Prediction Strike. That's the only thing that we ask in return for these particular streams.
Okay.
Bet, Barkley, bet. Let's see here. But yeah, this is a solid team. Only thing I would consider here is building up your RB2 specifically. That's really kind of the big contingent more than anything. So we'll see how that plans out, and then kind of moving from there, I would just consider using some of these pieces in 2-for-1 packages, targeting those guys with
high on
Eckler and Saquon
Atwell
Barkley.
potentially.
Yeah, people are probably high on Atwell after they saw that performance and how much he was utilized. I would consider doing up to 50%. Like, Achane could honestly be a league winner in terms of like running back utilization. We just don't really know how that's going to kind of play out as the time progresses forward. That's really kind of the big question mark there. All right, so we have the next team here, WWJDFFL. Hoping to hear from you guys next stream. What's your name on the Discord? We'll add you too, because you've been asking there for a while. Dallas this, Cowboys that. I know I keep adding teams to the list here, and I'm not letting Jackson and Grant go. I'm sorry, guys. But want to make sure that the guys who have been at the beginning of the stream are getting their teams rated because they've been here with us for a while. But we got Lamar Jackson. We've got Devontae Adams, Zay Flowers, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Sam Laporta, and Gibbs. This is a fine team. Hopefully, DeAndre Hopkins. Ekstrom Entels is the username, Jackson, in the DMs.
Ekstrom Entels. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I would just try to get DeAndre Hopkins in this lineup if he actually plays. I would probably move James Cook over Kamara for this first week, just because I think it's a little bit how it goes. Sunny Tijuana, what's your name in the Discord? I know you've been in here for over an hour. So we'll make sure to get yours as well.
I would potentially sell high on Flowers as well. You mentioned finding a way to start D-Hop, but that's a way to open up a spot and potentially get someone that could be more consistent going forward.
Yeah. Tijuana 73, Jackson. And Matt Boyd, I know you've been here for a while. As long as you filled out the steps that we've asked you guys to do, we'll make sure that you guys get in here. Let's see here. Sunny T is your name. All right. So it's one of those two, Jackson. And he's getting on the document.
T1 and Sunny. Okay.
Lamar Jackson is fine here. Devontae Adams is great. Zay Flowers is fine. Saquon Barkley's... Yeah, I hear you, Matt Boyd. Just tell us what your name is in the stream, and we'll make sure it gets added to the doc. Zay Flowers, like, he's going to be great, but my kind of concern is the question mark of, like, how he kind of goes forward. I hate this matchup for him this week. I would consider putting in Nico Collins over him and kind of going from there. Let's see here. But I'm assuming Matt Boyd's would probably be Matt Boyd or something along those lines in the Discord. He hasn't said his name. Oh, it's the Fantasy Football North Carolina is his name on Discord. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So that should be easy to find. But yeah, I think this is a solid team overall. Just, I would consider putting in James Cook and Nico Collins based on the respective matchups this week. But it's also, you guys see injury news and so on, how that plays out going forward here. But overall, solid team. I'm not really too sold on it, but I'm not too against it at the same time. All right, guys, moving on to the next team here. Oh, this is the rest of the bench. Even better, because I'm an idiot.
B-Rob.
Appreciate it, Dallas says Cowboys that. We want to, like, how to, like, turn you guys into league winners and so on. But, like, this is a very strong team. This is where I would consider doing some 2-for-1s. Like, aim to get Austin Eckler. Improve this running back depth for you. You have the ability to, like, become a dog. Ryan, we've already reached the max amount we're going to do for this stream, but if you want to make sure you get your team rated and so on, then pop in the Discord. Link to that is in the bio, and DM Jamario. We will be doing the rest of these in another stream. I will tell you guys in tomorrow's stream on the one that I do on my phone here in the morning, so you guys can see exactly when that's going. I would go the Hawkinson over Laporta, Kamari, but, like, we'll be explaining when we're going about those next rate your teams going forward. Let's see.
Some advice too, if you're popping in the Discord and sending screenshots, it's a lot easier if you give specifics on start sits and, like, if you should trade for a specific player and stuff. The only time I see people not get, like, amazing advice is when people will just say, like, fix this team, and it's a little more vague. But if you go in with specific things and ideas and stuff, you'll get great advice instantly. So
exactly. Grant's hitting it right on home, and he's one of our great analysts that we have in the Discord helping you guys out. And I'm sorry that the link is not letting you work in there, VicDog. The only thing that I can advise you to do is hold down on the link in the bio and then copy it into Safari or Google there, and it should allow you to process through there, in theory. But yeah, this is a situation that I would probably be doing some 2-for-1s to improve the overall like strength of my team. Like Zay Flowers is great, but I think the market's very high on him. I think you can be trading for. I'm trying to think of somebody that's at a low value right now, but you can be trading for a higher overall, like receiver in theory. But overall, pretty solid team. I would just try to do some 2-for-1s to build this team into a true league winner because I think it's it'll finish in the middle of the pack is what I'm guesstimating. But you have the pieces on your bench right here to do that. Moving on to the next team here. Zoom out. We got the bench right here, and then to infinity and beyond. I love that. We got Lamar Jackson. This is a very, very strong team. I can already tell that. I would consider selling high on DeAndre Swift, though. They may have just let Kenneth Gainwell have a lower amount of run this week, even though it was 50-50 this past week. Just because he is coming back from like injury here. And I do think that's kind of a common theme we see with a lot of teams. So like that's something that you need to see. Happy to hear it worked for you, DJ VicDog. We'll get to your team in the next stream just because my voice is starting to get kind of coarse here. I advise you the same thing that I told DJ VicDog. Copy the link, put it in Google or Safari, and it'll work for you there. But Antonio Gibson's cuttable. You have Kenneth Gainwell, so you're kind of a good hedge spot. But, like, I would be trying to do some 2-for-1s. Dameon Pierce, I would hold on to. Your running back room is very solid. This is just a good team overall. Not really too much I can advise outside of, like, stream your defenses and try to just build up with 2-for-1s. Like, I know it sounds like very bland advice, but, like, that's just kind of the reality of the matter. I wouldn't be trying to get rid of Diggs. I do like that you're getting Eckler and Waddle in that deal, but it's just kind of more of a question of will Tua be able to hold this same threshold he has throughout the whole season. Solid team. I would just consider trying to improve the RB2 because we don't know, like, how it goes with Kyron Williams. Like, that's really the big question mark. Mason Christ, we'll get to it in the next stream. My voice is starting to give out on me, so I don't want to lose that, so I can continue to yell at you guys my overall thoughts to tomorrow. But these overall, I think this is a very strong team. Just small pieces I would work on. Maybe somebody can kind of like build up Mike Evans a little bit more, Nico Collins, into more high-end receivers. Because I do think we're going to see Tank Dell become more of a thing this year. Like, you just have pieces in your lineup that you can probably, like, turn up into higher-end echelon pieces. Let's see here. We got We Dem Boys. Let's see here. Reminding me of my high school. Let's see here. Lamar Jackson, Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard. Very strong running back room, especially with Mike Williams kind of, like, dropping out. All right, that's you, Dallas. Happy to see that we're at your team finally. So happy you got Tony Pollard with your Cowboys affiliation. You got Jake Fergie dating one of the Cavender twins. Let's see here. DK Metcalf, very solid team overall. Michael Thomas is honestly like a very undervalued pace that's going to get you consistent fantasy points. How would I do this? I don't think Matt Breida is really worth having on your roster. I really don't. I think you got the Cowboys defense, which is just a league winner in itself, and I don't understand why that's on your bench. But, like, there it goes. What can you do? If you don't have it in the area, just DM Jamario, and we'll figure out something to get it worked out. But overall, I think this is a very strong team. Like, there's not anything I would really be worried about with it. Like, this is just a great team. You're just going to have to stream the right tight end each week. But from everything that I've heard about the New England Patriots this season, they view Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski in the eyes of Hunter Henry, essentially, which is kind of interesting. So we're going to continue to see some spike weeks. And of course, Jake Ferguson is a very popular target for your boy Dak Prescott. Only thing I would do is consider getting rid of Matt Breida, and Devontae Parker is kind of like, You actually auto-rostered, but you'll fix that. Word. Fair enough. But yeah. I also wouldn't be expecting Austin Eckler to play this weekend. I do think that Jalen Warren against my Houston Texans is a very strong play if need be, though. But overall, like the team, happy we were able to get to your team, though. The notorious Jats. I don't know what Jats means, but hopefully I'm not getting kicked off TikTok for it. Lamar Jackson, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne. Jesus Christ. Very strong team. Unfortunately, your RB1 has not been producing for you, but a lot of strong pieces in this team in general. Your running backs, I think you've went a little bit too much on the depth piece for that, looking at your bench here. We were offered Ridley for Ford. I would take Ridley over Ford.
Agreed.
Let's see here. This is just a very strong team, especially once it kind of comes into play here. Like, there's so many things that are going to be, like, getting better. Do MT and DK for a replacement? Yeah, I think Michael Thomas and DK are fine for a short-term replacement. But, like, Tyler Algier, I just don't think is fantasy relevant unless if they're dominating in game script. He's just not.
Once you get Taylor and Ayuk back to potentially flip those.
Yeah.
For one guy you can consistently count on. I mean, your team's pretty crazy, especially if you add Ridley in there, but
Yeah.
could always improve. We've said Eckler's name a lot, but that's a guy you could target.
Yeah, that is a guy that I really would target. Like, the big question mark is, like, if JT comes back and is JT and is playing as much as Zach Moss is, like, we're pretty confident JT's more efficient than Zach Moss. I feel like that's a pretty good thought process right there. Then there's very little doubt in my mind that this team will win the league. I don't even know, like, how it goes. Oh, DK and or Michael Thomas. What running back would you guys trade for DK and or Michael Thomas? I think you have to package both of those together in theory.
DK and Michael Thomas. I mean, you could probably get someone like, if you're willing to go like JT or something like that, or Eckler perhaps.
Yeah, like, you got to be aiming for one of those running backs who essentially are coming off injury. Like, remember, it may not just remember because you wouldn't do something, that doesn't mean that someone else in your league wouldn't. That's the big thing that we have to remember at the end of the day, because the majority of the time, this sounds rude, but our league mates are idiots. They may be our friends, but more often than not, they're idiots. So we need to be understanding this from a mathematical standpoint of, like, they might be sitting there from, like, just a sense of, like, I don't feel confident in my team. I don't trust what's going on. So, like, I need more depth pieces or anything along those lines. So it's not worth, taking the chance on. And Tony Pollard, but Eck is hurt. So, yeah, I mean, as long as Eckler's fully healthy, Dallas says Cowboys that you're going to be more than fine. But
Potentially even like a Ridley
yeah.
on a buy low or something.
Yeah, you
Plenty
can
of
even do
options.
Ridley on buy
Should be
low. I
fine.
like that shot a lot. But going back to this team here, you just need to figure out how to turn this whole entire bunch of, like, pennies that you have in terms of running back handcuffs into gold. And how you're going to do that, I don't know. But I'm sure one of these will pop for you eventually over time here. But we got Amon-Ra Dog as our last team here. We got Justin Fields as the QB1, Kamara as your RB1. I mean, it's just another very solid team. There's nothing really negative to said outside of fill out your bench. Always make sure your bench is filled with the guys we're telling you to pick up off of waivers. I'm gonna lose it. But, like, it's just a solid team. Like, there's nothing else to really be said about it. I would try to build up your running back depth here, though. That's the only thing that, like, I would be trying to do. That's good, Matt Boyd. Happy to hear that. I believe this is your team. I would try to build up your running back depth. I think people are going to be buying into the hype of Alvin Kamara. I really don't think he is going to be their kind of true guy, if that makes sense. In which case, then I highly encourage you to, like, go find that guy who has Austin Eckler or the guy who has Saquon Barkley, and package them with, like, Nico Collins or Najee Harris or something, and see what you can.
Fields will get better too.
Yeah.
Just stay patient. You got Kelsey back now too. This team looks really good.
Yeah, exactly. And the big thing that we're trying to point out about the Fields argument as well is, like, it is all about, like, them allowing him to run the ball more. Like, that's what this offense needs to realize, is that he's not a pocket passer. He can run the damn ball.
The more he plays his own style, like he said he wanted to in that interview clip last week, the more he's going to be successful. So
exactly. So I like this team overall. I would just try to build up your running back depth a little bit more. I'd sell the hype on Alvin Kamara. I just don't think it's there. I do think that Kendre Miller will be more efficient as time progresses, but we'll see kind of how that progresses for you. That's really all I have the advice for that. I would be holding the Pierce 100%. Once that offensive line is healthy, it's going to be a top 10 offensive line in the league. For those asking how to send your team in to get rated, this was the last team we were going to rate in this particular stream. We really appreciate you guys popping into this stream, hanging out with us for a little bit of time here. We lost Jackson to what I believe was probably some groceries. But we appreciate
we'll look to do another one of these later this week, hopefully, if you guys enjoyed. So just send those teams into @Jamario Moon on the Discord, and we'll do another one of these, and we'll get to everyone we couldn't quite hit today. So
But I think we got through quite a few teams here. Appreciate all the likes, the gifts, and the falls, guys. If you guys want to see a review of this, then I highly encourage you guys go pop into the YouTube, something we don't typically plug on here. But we have a YouTube as well where this will be put up for you guys as well, so you guys can check that out. Go back and review and see what we had to say. Maybe we're complete wrong, and you can clip it on TikTok, whatever, tag us and be like, you're idiots, which I've gotten that plenty of times before. But we want to try to do our best to help you guys. Join the Discord. We have a bunch of people in the Discord, or analysts realistically, like Grant here and myself, answering all of your guys' fantasy football questions on there entirely for free. So highly encourage you guys to pop on there. And if you want to make sure that you get your team reviewed for next time, join the Discord. The requirements we put in there again, and we'll be there to answer more of your guys' fantasy football questions. But for now, we're going to sign off. Thank you guys so much for popping in here. Link to this YouTube is also in the bio. I think it's a little bit of a smaller click, but we will be doing another one of these very soon. I'll let you guys know on stream when we're doing the next one, and we'll have it also queued in the Discord. But appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you guys later. Hope you guys have a wonderful night, but for now, peace, y'all.
Cool.